Today we have a very special guest, a woman that I look up to and who has given me a lot of confidence about talking about money in my life and who has been very inspirational on these topics for me. So I'm very glad that you're on our podcast. Hello, Shirly Valge.
Hello, Trinulis. Thank you, and it's such nice to hear these words. And thank you for inviting me here. It's the first time I'm in such a format, and I'm also super excited. You brought me out of the comfort zone.
I'm glad to do that because our podcast has a new approach, and we want to put Estonia more on the map in the world and bring the world towards Estonia. And you have a very interesting experience being actually traveling the world, living outside of Estonia. How would you introduce yourself to people who don't know you? What is it what you do?
Uh, well, I'm Shirley, or Sirli, 34 years old. I grew up in a Tallinn suburb, and I was born into 1 year of the USSR. So I don't recall any of these times, but besides what I've been told by my parents, where they had to queue up for goods at groceries against coupon exchange. So there was barely anything on the shelves, and times were difficult upon collapse of USSR. But I always felt like loved, and my parents definitely loved each other, even though the marriage wasn't perfect. But I had a relatively good childhood, besides like some financial struggles, which were evident during these times. And I was fortunately given a very good education. I went to German gymnasium, so German was actually my first primary language, foreign language, which was only minority of kids who would learn German. And I also went to music school for 9-10 years. I went to choir, I played piano, so I had a lot of impact from music. And let's say I had quite tough discipline throughout my childhood, having to put up with this schedule of attending 2 different schools each day, starting my days from 7 a.m. and finishing up quite late, like midnight, when I was finished with my schoolwork and practicing for music school. So and that was throughout 10, 11 years. And I think it gave me a very good and solid foundation as a human. And then as of 13, 14, I was discovered by a modeling agency in Tallinn, and I started my modeling career internationally. I was doing it throughout 10 years, and I had a chance to work and live in different countries in Asia completely independently ever since I was 14. I got to later on live in Paris a couple of years aside my school studies each year in Milan. I returned in between to start my university, and I also had some trial in political field. So I decided to join a political party, got to run some elections and campaigns as a freelancer. I even worked in the parliament, but it was quite difficult to climb the career ladder as a young woman in that space. It was still very chauvinistic approach, unless you had some parent or husband in the top tier
What year was
politician.
that?
That was 2006, 2007 when I started, when I was 16, 17. So I think the times have changed now and improved. I see quite many tier 1 politicians in Estonians being ladies and women. So I'm happy about these improvements. But yeah, coming back to that, I also felt like I don't have the right characteristics to be a good politician, because I was too straightforward and direct, but I still attended my university studies in the political science field. It really interested me. And after that, I relocated back to Milan. So I ended up living and working in Milan a total of 1.5 years. And then later on, I had some entrepreneurial journey. thanks to some of the close people of mine, because my parents were normal 9 to 5 workers, and I could never imagine doing anything like that. But thanks to like role models that I've crossed in my life, I had the opportunity to also try that out, and through that I came to learning about financial freedom, and my interest to what I'm doing today in the Web3 space and crypto space. So it's been quite a colorful journey. And in my soul and in my mental state, I feel I'm somewhere in the 50s or 60s. But yeah, I'm still young. So I feel like there's so much that I can still do. And yeah.
It does sound that you have lived such a vivid life, but you're so young and you had so many experiences through your childhood and teenage years that some people encounter maybe when they're older. So it sounds logical that you feel like you're
Definitely,
much
yeah.
older. But you told that you now work in Web3 and you're interested in financial freedom. Let's explain maybe very simply, even like if I'm a child, how would you explain to a child what is Web3?
Yeah, so we have to come back to Web 1. So Web 1 was the evolution of internet and the static web, where we could just visit simple internet pages, which was all about one-side communication. So you wanted to look up something and you could read, but then from that, the next step was Web 2, which was two-way communication. So you could actually communicate between email, messaging, and that created the emergence of social media channels like Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, where you could also upload your content. But these big monopolies that we can easily call now started monetizing on your content and monetizing on your data, like Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube are doing. So it really basically took our data, gave us access against us providing our most sensitive data. We as a post, we got the access to the product for free, but actually we were the product. So that's why Web3 technologies emerged. And Web3 is about decentralization, removing the middlemen and the monopolies, and giving the users control and ownership over their data, over their content, over their financial wealth creation or management back to their hands. So it's all about empowering the individual and enabling them solutions to give control and governance back over whether it's financials or data.
Okay, let's go back to your own story with it. How did you end up in that position where you are right now? Where did it start? Where did it start to spark your mind?
So actually, in this very building where we're currently running our podcast in, it's quite funny. There were investment courses, and through this entrepreneurial journey that I started around 24, 25 years old, I became more aware of the financial independence, financial freedom, and literature. And these courses here started at very small scale. Now it has evolved into a huge festival each year. But they thought about the stock investment, real estate investment, and lending, borrowing. So the very basics of starting your investment journey. And I felt like I did gain the initial knowledge, learned about the opportunities and options, but I still felt like something is missing. Like the barriers were too high to enter if you're like low income, and also the yields that would be generated through these funnels were not as high as a person that is still young and has a high risk appetite would satisfy. So I continued looking up on other avenues. So I did try some lending and borrowing, but it's oftentimes you wouldn't even get your money back on this platform. So I stumbled upon Bitcoin back in 2016, and I immediately felt like a click inside me. I felt like there's a huge potential. I read everything about the technology, but I still felt like, okay, how do I start? I didn't feel confident to start on my own. It was still very technical. If I learned about it, I had to look up like every second word what it means, and then I accidentally, by chance, met one of the early builders and founders of a Bitcoin exchange in Tallinn, in Old Town, like whilst I was out with friends, and he would go around with this huge golden chain of Bitcoin. And I just grabbed him and I was like, hey, I know what Bitcoin is. And that was still early on when no one really had heard about it. And then he helped me to do my first steps over the course of next couple of months, but he would never like have time to actually explain me the huge opportunities and this groundbreaking innovation. So I still had to do all the education myself. And so I made my first investments, and he helped me to set up like a wallet and exchange account, and that was it. And from that moment on, I kept myself updated with all the industry trends and news. But I remember people were thinking I'm crazy for getting involved in something like that. So it was quite early on, even though like Bitcoin was founded 2009, so you wouldn't think it was such early stage anymore, but it still was quite unknown for many people, most of the people. And then through a chance, I met the father of my son in 2017, a year later, or not even a year later, who lived in Switzerland. And that's where I decided to move after some time also to Switzerland. Because I mean, for me, it was just like another new place to try out my life and try to establish my foothold in a new country, in a new society and culture. Not a big deal. And I had actually experienced working with Swiss market earlier in my industry where I was working for sales in the aviation industry. So I had experience with German and Swiss markets, and I was really like thinking, that would be something what I could try out. So by chance, I had this opportunity, and the time was right. I didn't have anything holding me back. And by chance, I discovered that this is the crypto valley. That's where all the innovation happens, and it's the hub for everything Web3 and decentralized technologies. Like it had over 100 different foundations that are behind all these projects, innovative projects, and even the Zug county accepted crypto payments already that early on, and Swiss government also saw that the traditional banking and finance industry is not sustainable. So they, rather than blocking this whole movement, they always try to embrace it and support it with friendly regulation and framework. And this is when they just started building out this framework for tokenization and fundraising with tokens. So I started looking for a job in that space. Of course, I didn't believe that I could be involved in something like that as a girl, because it was very male-dominated industry, very nerd and computer geek-dominated space, or then you had like some very traditional financial top-tier people moving over from banking and then establishing some startup in Web3. And but thanks to some belief in me from my from the father of my child, I still pursued this. It wasn't easy at all. Like as a newcomer in Switzerland, you have like very highly competitive industry, and overall as a country, Switzerland is very competitive. Expats are never welcomed like open-handedly, so you need to really go out there and grab the opportunity, and it's mostly happening through networking and building up your network. I learned it the hard way because I was trying these traditional ways of applying to different jobs, as we do in Estonia. It would probably take me like a couple of days to get something here, but there I was probably like 5-6 months applying every day. Not only in that space, but also opening up like the horizon, also trying some commodity field different types of commodity trading, which was Zug is a hub for. And like I always got denied, and I was like, why? Like I have pretty extensive work experience behind me, and I knew German natively. So it really struck me hard, but I was unwilling to give up. And through the networking, I finally got to meet the right people, and one door opened the other, and that's how I got to my first job, which was in the field of crypto mining and brokerage and OTC. So I got to see behind the scenes of generating and minting new coins, and how all this hardware setup would look like. I even got to plug in cables and mining rigs. So basically, what a miner is, it's like a piece of computer that does the different complex algorithms and calculations 24/7. And you have to have like thousands of those to be profitable or to be successful nowadays. You could do it just from out of your basement in the early days, but that's the history now. So we had it in a quite large facility, and we also offered brokerage services. So high net worth individuals or ultra high net worth individuals that wanted to get exposure in digital assets could basically come to us, and we help them onboard. And through the exchange we provided, we could then provide them access to digital assets or mining rewards. And we also went through the design of designing a token for mining rewards. This was back when the legal framework was just created around tokenization. So it was a very interesting time. So we went through like a legal process of 6-7 months on designing a token, and then 10-11 months later, I was offered a new role at a blockchain company. Well, I was the first team member there, and I had a lot of freedom to. I was given like a lot of trust and freedom from our founders on how to shape things, and that was a whole another experience. So that was back when I was working at Velas, and we grew over 100 people in a relatively short time, like in 1.5 years, and then that led to that was like 4.5 years. I was building it for day and night. Like I really put my whole passion, energy into that. I always call it my first baby. And in between, I had my own son, and then like that led to quite a difficult time, because you now had to juggle between work at the office with like a global company and also work at home, because having a child is a full-time job. So it was quite a new position to be in, a whole another level. And also as a woman, you're measured by the same results and achievements as your male counterparts. So it was really challenging, like how to juggle between the different tasks at home and at work.
You mentioned that this field was mainly there were men mainly, not many women working there. But has it changed throughout the years?
Yeah, absolutely. It's still not where I would like it to be, but it has brought in some female counterparts, and I'm happy to see this development, because if we want like real, true adoption of these technologies, then we need to have everybody involved. And I've also tried to open up this for ladies, because I think they still see it as something super geeky and male-dominated, and that there's nothing for them to explore or tap into. So through these Web3 courses for ladies, which I run in between, I try to create a more safe space for ladies to get involved, either by investing or by introducing them this industry and holding a hand that there's something for everyone. Like I see the ladies getting more involved in like marketing and sales, but also I've been working with many engineers and developers that are ladies, and had actually much better experience working with women. Like they're much more like you can actually you can count on them. I feel like
Now men don't listen this.
sorry. Like men are great visionaries, and I've been working with the greatest visionaries in this space. I'm really like I've been very lucky. But like if you want to count on things getting done, then you need like all these daily things to be done and processes. Then I feel like ladies are the perfect gap to fill that role. But I see definitely the gender equality or the representation is balancing out, and it's probably thanks to all these. I mean, it's getting more popular, and also this environment is not that fast paced anymore. So you can actually have some break in between. Because in early days, it was literally you felt like if you take 1 week break, you're already like behind the curve. Like you have missed the train. Innovation happened like because it wasn't regulated back then. It really happened in lightning fast speed. This is why I also skipped my maternity leave. I mean, anyways, it's much shorter duration in Switzerland and in Estonia. It's like day and night. But being in the space, I really had seen so much effort to get where I was. So I had this real like FOMO, the term in this space, fear of missing out. That if I would take some time off, I would become irrelevant, maybe, or lose all this competitive advantage of ours, or like I really felt like a super high sense of mission, and had this also like I felt extremely I had taken a lot on my shoulders, so I didn't want to let anyone or any of the team members down. I felt like I was the glue that held the global team together and our goals together. So yeah, I mean, you have to do a lot of sacrifices as a woman, especially as a mom. So that's why I think there is still not the amount of women that could be represented in that space, because they're not willing to sacrifice that.
It sounds very logical. But let's go back to your experience living abroad. What has it taught you, and what have been the main challenges?
I think it has taught me by now that you could throw me in anything and in any place, in any situation, and I can handle it. And I can really adopt with this differences in culture and ways of living. Because I mean, I lived since 14 in Japan, and I literally was thrown into unknown. And back then we didn't have a smartphone. Like I basically had to find my castings like outside Tokyo with like a self-drawn map. Like you like need to pass this street. It was all in hieroglyphs. So, I mean, navigating completely foreign cultures without any technology and help. That was like different level. Same in China and in Taiwan. So, and the cultures are also very different in those different Asian countries. And then this European experience, and not to talk about being a young girl and in modeling world, in fashion world, it's not some flowery. Like it's very tough space. You're basically taken into advantage in many situations, and if you're inexperienced, you don't know what to look out for. Then you learn it the hard way. Like fortunately, I didn't have any serious situations where my life would be in threat, but still, like it really toughened me up. it was like truly unique experience, which I wouldn't exchange against anything else. Super grateful that my parents allowed me to go. And I'm super grateful that my teachers and my school allowed me to go, because I know in many other cases, like the school would block you from traveling anywhere for like 3-4 months. And I managed to study independently and catch up with everyone. So it really gives you this belief in yourself that you can handle and survive in any situation. But surprisingly, like Switzerland was the toughest for me, because it's a very closed environment. It's a very conservative environment, especially after my previous life was in Italy, in Milan, which shaped me a lot as a person. Like it opened up my character. I was like very introverted throughout my whole life, and in Italy really like opened me up. I became more expressionist, and then once I moved to Switzerland, I had to again like close myself down. Like that was a huge transformation again. At first, I thought like, oh, I would enrich the culture and like just stay as I am. But then during some time, I realized that you actually, in order to be accepted and welcomed, you need to like somehow like adopt with this standards and society and become a little bit like part of this gray mass. Because anyways, like it was so tough to establish my foothold as a lady, like with my looks coming from, for them, Eastern Europe. It was a challenge. You always had to prove yourself. You had to work extra hard compared to maybe the locals or compared to your like male counterparts, because in that space, in this male-dominated space, the looks were not in your favor. Like you actually had to put up a lot with these reservations and biases which would come with appearance or with your gender. So yeah, it took me like 2 years, 2.5 years, I think, for like extra, seeing like a lot of effort, until up to the point where I felt like I don't have to like prove myself in every new situation or meeting again. So that people knew me through my work and through my achievements. And I mean, it still happens nowadays when I come up with some new connections in business, in some new areas. So I still have to prove myself and that I'm expert in my field. I have the knowledge. I have basically, I know what I'm doing. So yeah, I mean, it's difficult to not fully lose your femininity, trying to like succeed in this male-dominated, nerd-dominated space. But in some form, I definitely did lose it.
So let's go back to living abroad. You have changed countries again. You came back to Estonia, actually. What does home mean to you now, and what made you change your living space?
Yeah, so after 6.5 years full-time in Switzerland, living basically in a village, it allowed me to build up my career and my expertise and my network, because you were always surrounded with top talents and top players out there. It also made you like never stop on advancing and building up your expertise. So you're basically like a squirrel in a wheel, and I think I had like literally no day off for all this period of time. Like even when we physically might have taken holidays somewhere for a couple of days, I was still online and in my work, because yeah, I couldn't really switch off, like being in this 24/7, 365 type of industry, and also then juggling between work and work at home with my kids. I really experienced burnout, and I think I was experiencing it for past couple of years, or ever since my son was born, but it really hit me later. And then the markets crashed. There were some troubles between our organization, from the upper level. And also, so it was like a mix of different circumstances, but I had purchased some real estate in Estonia, in Tallinn. I always thought like I want to hedge my portfolio, not just being 100% crypto and digital assets, but also have something solid and where I could have like a base and always like a backup option. So where I got this handed over, and I thought it's now the perfect opportunity to relocate and change the environment, because I think the environment has a huge impact on who we are becoming or who we are. So I really needed like some life balance between work and social life, because back in Switzerland, all my social life also circled within like crypto events and after work socializing. It was still around the same topic, so I was in this crypto bubble, and I think this change, coming back to my home, where I have my social support network, lots of help with also kids and family. It really did some good, because I could now balance work and hobbies, and really helpful also for my mental health.
Was there anything surprising or emotional about returning home?
I think what was surprising is how good life can be out of here, Estonia as well. It's, in my opinion, after traveling and so much and experiencing life outside, it's super comfortable here. It's very high quality of life. And thanks to the nature of my job, I could still continue working remotely for like foreign companies. I mean, of course, life is extremely expensive here, but it's very easy to do business here. Like there is almost zero bureaucracy. So you have all the opportunities to prosper and also benefit from the very good taxation that companies have here, like zero corporate tax and so on. So it's still like, it's very safe and clean, and there is order. So I find it like one of the most perfect places in the world, alongside with Switzerland. So there is no perfect place, of course. Like each has its goods and bads, but I commute a lot. Like I commute a lot between Switzerland, not just for work, but also for leisure, because I have my big social friend circle as well in Switzerland. So I consider it as my second home. But yeah, my first home, of course, is here. And I think, yeah, your home is where your closest people are. And I mean, we have all the opportunities to travel every now and then. And being based out of Estonia, I think it's one of the best setup I could have. So I'm very happy to have been returned. And I know many young people who have lived abroad for some time have returned here as well. So it's yeah, I'm telling, for people who might think that escaping is the plan, like I encourage everyone to seek life also outside Estonia, definitely. But in my experience, you have the perfect combination here in terms of safety, nature, climate, and the opportunities.
It sounds very encouraging, because many people actually want to go abroad, but they might not know the challenges that actually are also there.
Absolutely.
Let's go back to your career and being a woman in tech. So, did you always know that you want to work in that kind of space, or?
Absolutely not. I would never imagine myself in a fintech or tech space. I mean, I knew I always want to do something different and differ from what's normal or what's the average. But yeah, once I discovered Bitcoin and did my research around it. I felt like it's something huge. It has a huge potential, and it's still early on. So if I get involved, I could build up my career and expertise in that space, and it has proven to be right. So I see it being more adopted on the governmental level across the world. It's becoming like everyday topic now, also in the normal news, not just like specialized crypto news media. So I've definitely done the right choice, but I had absolutely no clue early on. I was always interested in technology as well. I mean, I think all the Estonians are quite advanced compared to the other societies, which are still very paper based. I mean, we actually had private blockchain being used on governmental level since early 2000s through e-voting, like e-healthcare system. And many citizens don't know that because they've been forced to use these new innovative solutions and leave the paper-based system behind. And that's actually how it should be done. Like, no one should actually discuss the nuances of the technology, but you concentrate on the value it brings you, like the 24/7 access from all around the world, right? So we can vote from anywhere we are in the world. We can give digital signatures through around the clock. I got real estate, like even not visiting Estonia once. So it makes your life easy, services more accessible, and the whole governance more transparent and efficient. And yeah, it really resonated with me because so throughout my career in modeling, I had like 2 or 3 intermediaries, and this whole setup allowed a lot of like intransparency, and thus these counterparties or stakeholders, they could take advantage of you because you had no flow of information. So you had 2 intermediaries that would take a cut on you. But then what blockchain does and Web3 does is removing all those middlemen. So you can work straight between 2 people, and you have everything run by smart contracts and automation. And it creates an even playing field for everyone involved and removes the problems we are facing in societies like corruption and uneven access based on your like socioeconomical background, like especially where those technologies are mostly impactful are the countries that are still developing, like the poorer countries, like in Indonesia and Vietnam, in African countries, where people all have the smartphone, they have internet, but they don't have access to banking. So over 2 billion people in the world have no access to financial services. And this is what these new technologies are solving. And also the barrier is very low. So anyone from any kind of financial situation can participate in this new innovative systems. And this really like resonates with me.
Was there ever a moment that you thought of quitting and actually totally shifting your focus on some other career path?
Not that. I mean, sometimes I felt hurt because of this reservations that people have just based on your appearance or your gender. So I truly started thinking on my own, like, why am I doing this? Like, I could just be like a housewife or just be pretty, right? But I never thought about changing the career path. I saw too much effort to get where I am today, and I'm interested in building myself up further in that space because I mean, there's every day so much to learn. It never allows me to be in comfort zone, this industry, and basically, yeah. I mean, my biggest fear is staying in the comfort zone, and I don't think there's no other industry which is moving that fast. So I literally every day get to learn something new, either from the frontier of the technological breakthroughs or regulation. Like it's really changing and evolving nowadays. so yeah, I mean, once you get in that space, you're passionate about it. I mean, it would be impossible to stay here in Web3 for such a long time unless you're passionate about it. And I, at this stage, I would only think about my next move would be building something on my own, launching my own startup, solving some critical problem or filling a gap in the space through decentralized technologies. But yeah, I would. I mean, I had this side hobby or side job which I recently started, but it also taps into what I do as my main activity. So I started, for example, the DJ career, which was actually my childhood dream, my teenage dream, but it was out of reach financially. So last summer, I passed this basic DJ course finally, and I got myself the equipment. So, and somehow I really managed to get invitations to play here and there, mainly in Switzerland, but also in other countries and in Estonia. So it really hit up fast. And the positioning I did was creating awareness and increasing awareness around Web3 and crypto through music. So I connected these two passions of mine. And I even picked a name based on that, like Satoshi. but but yeah, that's that's how I added some creativity to maybe all this technical daytime activities and business activities which I'm doing, and I think it's a great combination.
It sounds great. It sounds like fun.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to a young woman entering a male-dominated space like crypto?
Well, be prepared to have a very thick skin, and it also depends on what level of seriousness you want to participate in that space, because you could just, I mean, you don't have to get deep in the technology. If you're entering from like community building or social media marketing angle, then I'm really encouraging them to do so. I always encourage people to do the homework, because in the startup space overall, like, no one has time to go and teach you along the process. So normally we expect people to join who have already done their homework and caught up with technology, and because it's super fast paced, as I have mentioned already several times, and there are all the materials, like, you don't need to, I mean, they didn't teach it in school anyways or in university. I mean, now they have adopted these study programs, but there's so much resources in online. Like, you could easily watch some YouTube videos to get up to speed with the basics, and also with more advanced technologies. So or get a mentor. I run some Web3 courses for ladies, and I'm still happy to do it privately. But I'm sure there are like dedicated mentors just to start your career in that field. So when you don't know where to start from, I'd encourage to start with someone that is focused on that. Yeah, actually, no. I know some ladies have focused on helping others to onboard, and they have taken it for themselves as a mission. And what I would say, yeah, don't be afraid of this male dominance, and don't be afraid to speak up, because we need both genders to be present for these solutions to be adopted by everyone.
Let's talk more about money and the lessons that you have learned through money. Do you remember what was your first memory around money when you were growing up?
There was lack of it.
90s child.
Yeah, and I mean, I grew up in a, let's say, a below average income family. My mom was the main breadwinner, and she was really like a power woman. I really looked up to her. I was proud of her. But I always had to. It always came down to limited options and limited choices, and I hated it. Like I could not afford these most popular toys that most of the other kids had, or the clothing brands which were popular. So I had to always limit down my choices. I either had to choose if I want to have a new pair of jeans, or I can continue going to my hobby classes. And I mean, it wasn't a nice feeling. And I think this was the biggest driver for me to change. As soon as I get control and hold of my own life, I wanted to change that. I wanted to have freedom of choices. I think that was the main driver.
Was there ever like a moment where you realized that I really need to figure this money thing out? Because in 90s there, or like even I think 15 years ago, 20 years ago, there was not much education around money in Estonia.
Everybody were equal. It was there was no financial literacy, and some other people found their places like early 90s. They just filled the gap of what's missing. They were at the right time, at the right place, and it was really easy to find this missing gap and become rich out of nowhere. But like my parents, I think they were already past that stage in their like age wise. So they were just normal 9-to-5 workers. And I could never also imagine myself in an entrepreneurial position. But through my partnership with an entrepreneur who was also kind of a mentor for myself, I started slowly learning, and through action mainly, by also seeing how's the life being like, having like a passive income, like having a business which runs for you without your active involvement. I really, really dig that, and I really got inspired by that. But also throughout my traveling and working as a model, I see a lot of different standards. Like I had some very good life as a model and high standard living. So at least I had this goal, what I wanted to have for myself, and then. But I had to figure it out myself. I actually, before my modeling career, I had some work experience. I mean, my first job was a newspaper boy. So I was through like times when I was like 9 or 8 even.
Can you even work on?
Yeah.
If you're
I mean,
young?
you don't remember like.
I remember they were children, but
Yeah.
I don't think that you can do it like right now in Estonia. It must be illegal.
Yeah, I haven't seen the kids around anymore selling newspapers on the streets. But back then it was a usual way of making money throughout summer months. So, I did the mistake. I went with a girlfriend of mine who was like that short and looked like an angel. So the way it worked is like you had to buy newspapers out from the production company in the early morning. And then you would sell them at your price or at the public price. But everybody like really felt sorry and sorrow for her. And I was like really tall and, felt like I didn't need help. So most of the time I returned home with like a bunch of newspapers. So that was probably I even paid on top to the news media guys. But it's still like a good experience. That earning money is actually very challenging and difficult, and nothing gets handed over on a silver platter. So I was never afraid of work. Like also during my even younger age, I was put to take care of the fields in the countryside and the taking out the grass on huge potato fields and doing different kinds of farming work. So that was something normal that I grew up with, and also kind of normal that I have to make my own pocket money at some point. And but then through these role models, like later on in my life, I became more and more aware of the financial literacy, also thanks to these financial courses here on investments or how to start. But also in Switzerland, like I think Switzerland had the biggest impact. I mean, Swiss people don't have the problem we have. Like they have inherited wealth, so also the education alongside with the wealth gets passed through generations. But yeah, I really had to learn this wealthy mindset. It's full switch on the whole way of how we think and operate on daily basis, like becoming aware of assets, like which assets are appreciating in value, which are depreciating. I think I grew into becoming like conscious spender over the course of probably like past 20 years, like through life experience and through the role models. And of course, like in Switzerland, you're surrounded by very high net worth individual people, so eventually you become the average of what you're mostly surrounded with, and that's probably where I achieved the most of my knowledge.
Let's talk about crypto. For people who are still unsure about crypto, what's the simplest way you would explain its potential?
Well, crypto is a very broad term, but if we speak about the Web3 and all these decentralized technologies, eliminating middlemen, and blockchain being the infrastructure which is facilitating all that, we're in the adoption side of things, and in the whole evolution. We're in the early years of internet, like internet in 90s, and look at where we are now. So that's how still early we are. I mean, AI, for example, has been researched since 50s, research developed since 50s, and we only now came to like a groundbreaking killer app, ChatGPT, and only now it's becoming like a tool in our everyday lives. So that could give you an idea of what's the time frame for new innovative technologies to be part of our everyday lives. Because right now we're still talking about the technology itself. At least in our social circles where we're building. But it should be just something that we use that makes our life easier and more efficient, and eliminating frictions, enabling access. So we don't feel it as much, this impact, because we have all this, as I mentioned, like all the services. We are not like struggling to be involved and inclusive in the financial services, but there are a lot of there's like a huge part of our population, global population, which have no access. So this is who we're solving the problem for. And then part of the investment, like I would say it's still very early on, especially when we talk about getting involved in Bitcoin, which is the only like fully limited, fully decentralized digital asset out there, which supply it's limited down to 21 million, and now seeing all these institutional funds getting involved and even nation states getting involved, it has become a race on which nation gets to accumulate the most Bitcoin. So many people feel like, oh, it's too expensive, but I think even if you get just a fraction of it, it's still like a big thing. It's already a big thing. And probably it becomes less and less volatile over time, because the more supply you have in the market, the less we see like a huge volatility of the prices. So Stable coins will definitely be part of our everyday lives. Governments and central banks are talking about issuing their own digital currencies, and it's just a matter of time, maybe 1 year, that you will see digital euro, digital Swiss franc, and but then there are also these are like centralized and controlled assets, but then you have still alternative of fully decentralized assets, which are governed by no middleman, and there's like huge potential, like creating fractioned and tokenized assets, which currently people had no access to, but now it's lowering barrier for entry for different socioeconomic background population and population which has maybe lower income. Also, like where it all started was like transmitting money, like money remittances, because you have a lot of this developing country population working in some of the wealthier countries, and whenever they would send back their monthly salary to their families, the centralized or like the Web2 service providers would charge you like a massive commission, like 21% out of your already very small salary, which you're making. So the decentralized technologies and peer-to-peer payments also reduce these costs massively. Like you can send it just at the friction of a cent now back to your family. So it's overall like improving people's lives around the world. The intentions are very good as long as the governments and nation states won't start using it as like another control mechanism by over-regulating it. So
is it possible actually to happen?
it is, and it's happening slowly, especially in Europe. Europe is currently losing its competitive advantage because it has started to over-regulate the market. Of course, it's doing it so under serving it as protection of the citizens, but at the same time, it's also creating, it's holding back innovation. Like I see so many startups moving away to different jurisdictions like UAE, even America, because they're trying to create now, they want to be like the global hub for Web3 startups and innovation, both in Web3 and AI. And Europe is really falling behind between Asia and US. So I don't know, let's see how it turns out, but right now it's not looking great. I mean, well, mostly I see innovation still taking place here, but European countries are not the ones adopting it. So the adoption mostly happens in other sides of the world, like Asia and US.
Is there a crypto principle philosophy that you live by?
Well, it is. Crypto is a lifestyle, right? It's not my work. It is like my life and my whole like, and it's for everyone involved. Like the ones that are true enthusiasts and builders. It becomes part of your way of living. But probably it's like the freedom, like freedom to be location independent, work from wherever you want, transact from wherever you want, freedom over your ownership of your finances and your content and your data, and protecting your individual data. And for example, I'm not giving my assets or finances away to some banks that are monetizing mostly from it and leave you with nothing. So I tend to have as much as control over my finances on my own. And I think it translates into the way I live overall.
I think the most interesting question for the listeners and watchers is about Bitcoin actually. What might be the highest high that we are waiting for or the people are waiting for? And is it really possible to go like skyrocket high even?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're hearing a lot of speculations from only for the forecasts of this year, where it could go this year. And there are ranges from actual like analytics and research firm from spreading between 200,000 to like 2 million. So the spread is really high. Well, my conservative approach would be somewhere between the 150, 200. But it depends heavily on geopolitical situation. I mean, things like times are so unconfident right now, and that affects the whole economical situation around the globe. The interest rates are still very high. So as soon as we see lowering of those and money becoming more cheap, then we again get to see the more risk-averse approaches where people are more confident investing in riskier assets, which are digital assets still. Because right now it's all driven by institutional demand, because U.S. Enforced U.S. accepted the ETFs, exchange traded funds, for institutional players to come in and be enabled to invest in these digital assets, not just Bitcoin, but also Ethereum. And we're coming up with Solana and many other bigger assets out there by market cap. So that mostly drive the institutional adoption, and the retail hasn't even started yet. So we could reach so much higher highs once we see interest rates lowering and the geopolitical situation becoming more stable.
Let's see. Let's talk about you being a mom and having a big vision in your life. How has motherhood changed your pace, your choices, and your focus?
Yeah, the pace has become insanely fast, which led me to burnout actually. I mean, you want to be best in everything, right? You want to be giving everything for your son and for your kids. You want to be the best mother, but you also want to be the best in your career and at your job. So you want to be best partner. Like you have so many expectations in your head, maybe. That yeah, the burnout is quite easy to happen, and especially if you're like perfectionist and have high standards for yourself. So it's been extremely difficult, and actually this is from where I've seen many women drop out from the industry, like who used to be active in crypto, but then they became mothers and then they really like disappeared, either for some time or like completely. So because these are both like full-time jobs that run 24/7, 365, no matter if it's holiday, like these are both active. And but also like I've been through the nature of this industry, it's flexible. So I've been even bringing my son along early on, like when he was 4 months old. I think he came with me to global team meetings and conferences. So like I don't think he missed out the closeness of me. And actually, when I've been speaking to him now, when he's 5.5, he always tells me he wants to skip school and start working with his mom. So I guess it seems interesting for him, like what I've been doing. And but it's very, very challenging. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you need to surround yourself with social support network, and that was very hard in Switzerland as well, because we were expats, we had no family around. So don't underestimate having like close family around you when you become a parent, and don't be afraid to really like ask for help. I think I've always been proud as well. Like I I want to take on a lot of responsibilities on my shoulders, and are not really eager to ask for help, but trying to do that more and more, because we need to, like, in order to nurture or give out or be best parent, you need to have some time for yourself as well, and nurture your own soul and mental state. So yeah, it's constant balance and juggling.
What's something you want your child to understand deeply about the world or about themselves?
That's a good question. Well, children first and foremost. You definitely know it from yourself as well. They learn by actions and behaviors of their parents. Not they don't follow the words. So I think I want him to know that there are always ups and downs in life, and it's how you react to them. It's also funny you mentioned earlier as well that you always see me super calm.
Very
even
calm, collected, relaxed.
yeah, even though I might be like going through like the most difficult moments in my life, I think I have this maybe superpower of keeping myself completely like unmoved by emotions. Or maybe it's like some power we as Estonians inherit from our parents and great grandparents. This stoic state of mind. So yeah, I think it's always important to keep your positivity up and optimism up. I consider myself extremely optimistic. There is always solution to every problem. Nothing is impossible to achieve if you want it. I think I've been living example of it. So I want him to know that he has to try out different things to discover what's right for him or what he's passionate about. And I want to enable him the tools also, because I mean, for me it took longer time to discover because I had to maybe work just to cover my essential needs, but I want him to provide these essentials that he would be able to maybe discover faster what his greater passion is in life. And yeah, I mean, I'm super lucky with him. Like, he's a total sunshine in my life. He already shows like extreme positivity in every life situation. So yeah, like he's already like a huge rock of compassion for me. Like his yeah, I couldn't be more grateful and lucky to have him in my life. And yeah, I just want to provide some openness and open playground for him to prosper and succeed in life.
If you could whisper something to your 20-year-old self, what would it be?
Maybe it would be, of course, like I wouldn't change anything or any life experience I had because this is what created me. But maybe not be as loyal as I've been, because sometimes I feel like I stuck too long around in relationships, whether it's professional business relationships or romantic relationships, and you're giving too much of your precious time and energy and loyalty away in relations which don't serve you anymore, and where you're perhaps disrespected. So really like getting to know your boundaries and sticking to them is something I could have learned earlier in my life. So that's
This is great advice. I think this is something that we all need to learn.
yes.
What are you currently working on inside and out?
If I knew, I mean, it's like I'm. Well, I'm really great. Like I had this mission since last summer where I finally fulfilled my childhood dreams. Like I picked up this DJ course, and I also picked up tennis, which I now do just like 3 times a week. And it was also something I really wanted to do since I was early. Like yeah, young kid, but couldn't afford it. So um, I have really, I think, mastered this balancing of my own hobbies and social life, family life, and also work. And the only thing is that I haven't had like breaks since past 5-6 years. So that's what I'm looking forward to. I'm currently in transitioning phase where I'm switching from my current company to a new one. So I left there a little like 2-week break to also do like a heavy research, but really like unplug the cable off and switch myself offline and go and touch the grass because it's super needed and crucial. I mean, working in that space, you're always like online, you're always communicating digitally, like the team is like distributed across the world. So going out there and like doing some more like versatile activities from my everyday life, having some break and yeah, some reflection. So that's what I'm looking for now within the next couple of weeks after I have done all my speaking engagements and traveling for conferences. But finding this true balance is what I'm looking to master in my upcoming months and years, and keeping myself from another like burnout, but being efficient in everything. So as much as I could.
I really hope next time we speak, you can share your experience, how you managed to do that. Is there any advice you could give about money or being financially free to young people or also older people who are not that educated about money?
I think my greatest advice would be becoming super good in something very specific, like become the top-notch expert in your own very specific field. And I think the greatest value is in your knowledge and in your network and connections, so that you don't have to sell your time anymore. So whether it's learning something new, or whether like yeah, gathering as many connections as possible in a specific field and really finding your greatest USP, unique sales proposal or advantage over others, and then focusing on that, and monetizing on that is what I would recommend. Like, don't try to copycat others or replicate others, and try to look for something that the market hasn't found yet or filled the gap in yet. So go around, maybe travel. That would be my advice for younger or older people, based on my own experience. I think that's what my that's where my value proposal lies in.
Shirley, thank you for sharing your life, your experience, your story. Is there anything that you want to share, like to end the podcast, like anything you didn't say throughout the podcast?
Well, probably there are many things I didn't say, but I appreciate you inviting me here. Like, it really all brought me out of my comfort zone. But I would like to encourage people to reach out to me, perhaps on any of my social media channels if they would like to know more or need some guidance. I always want to give back to roots, where I come from, and help as much as I can. So yeah, I encourage everyone to reach out.
Yeah, I also went to your course you did for the ladies, and I learned a lot. And whoever is interested, this is the lady to go to. Thank you so much.
Thank you.